today's episode, we continue our team preview series featuring Ben Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers. For our quick dimer thoughts, yes, in line with that, we will also be talking about Ben Simmons and the recent trade rumors regarding him and James Harden. Then, of course, we still have our top 5 plays of the night. The Dropping Dimes podcast by J.I. Dimes starts right about now. Good day, Dimers. Welcome back. So again, for all those who are new to the channel, please do not forget to click on the subscribe button and hit on the notification bell so that you can follow all the episodes of the Dropping Dimes podcast by J.I. Dimes. Do not forget also to like the button, comment your thoughts, and share the video. Okay, so for today's episode, we continue our team preview series featuring the Philadelphia 76ers. For those who want to follow our podcast, you can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, on Spotify, and also on Anchor. So to kick off our episode, we will have our quick dimer thoughts. This is how we dime. So for today, we will be talking about, yes, we will focus on in relation to the team in focus for today. We will be talking about Big Ben Simmons, the former number 1 pick, 2016 number 1 overall pick, because he is very much involved in trade rumors. We all know, Daryl Morey already with the Sixers, and he has a great relationship with James Harden, who obviously wants out of Houston. And according to Shams, Simmons is now available. Now, Doc Rivers recently released a statement that they would be moving on from it, that he and Ben talked about it already. But you have to remember, Doc Rivers is not a decision maker here. He's only a coach in Philadelphia. I'm not trying to put him down, but he's not the decision maker. It's Elton Brand and it's Daryl Morey making these decisions. And if they decide to pull the trigger on this James Harden deal, then Ben Simmons will be going to the Houston Rockets. Now, what are my thoughts regarding this? I honestly feel this can be a blessing in disguise for Ben. If he goes to Houston, he doesn't have to play with Joel Embiid anymore, and he can just be the guy that, the main man there. And then I think he can also learn a lot from John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. Well, he will be definitely the number 1 player there when he goes to Houston. So if ever Ben gets traded, which I think that is exactly what the Sixers would like to happen, then it would be beneficial as well for Ben Simmons. So if ever that happens, Ben, good luck. I'm a big fan of Ben Simmons. All he has to do is to just have more confidence in that shot, but the rest, he has all the tools to become a really, really special player in this league. Okay, so let's now proceed to our team in focus. Yes, sir. So now we're going to be going to the Philadelphia 76ers. You can follow them on Instagram at Sixers. These are the main storylines. Of course, they are led by big man Joel Embiid, and then followed by super young player, emerging superstar Ben Simmons. And then they have Tobias Harris, who is now reunited with Doc Rivers. They also acquired Danny Green. Right? Danny Green got traded a lot during the offseason, but he eventually landed with the Philadelphia 76ers. Are also looking forward for the continuous development of Matisse Thybulle. And then they have three rookies. They drafted three rookies. One was Paul Reed. That's just in the second round. Late second round pick. And then mid second round pick. The kid from Arkansas, Isaiah Joe. And then, of course, our first round pick from Kentucky, Tyrese Maxey. Then they also added Seth Curry, one of the funny storylines because we all know Seth Curry, his father-in-law is Doc Rivers. They also added former Utah big man, Tony Bradley. And of course, Superman, Dwight Howard, signed with them after deciding not to stay with the Lakers. And then, of course, a former Clippers coach, Doc Rivers, is now the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, I didn't include it here, but of course, another big addition for the team was Daryl Morey, formerly of the Houston Rockets, now with the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay, so let's proceed with their schedule. So this is their schedule. So they're done with their preseason. They already won against Boston. They won against Indiana. First game will be against the Washington Wizards at Wells Fargo Center, and then they'll be going to the New York Knicks, or they're going to play the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Now let's proceed to the things that we need to remember about Philly. These are the things that they did last year. Last year, they were coached by Brett Brown, who got fired. He had a 43-30 record, which is better from what was expected of them. Elton Brand is the GM. He is still the GM, even though Daryl Morey is already there. Of course, they lost to the Boston Celtics. They were the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. This was considered as a down season because they were so close at making it to the conference finals the year before. And then if you look at it, to think that they have Ben Simmons and they have Joel Embiid, and yet they were only 20th in points per game, though they were really good defensively at 6th when it comes to opposition points per game. They were 6th in the league. Their pace was only 19th. Of course, this hurts Ben because Ben is, we know how he plays. He's a downhill player. So it kind of affects him that they're slowing the game down. But then, if you look at their offensive rating, not that bad. It's at 13th. And then defensive rating was 8th. So as expected, with another early playoff exit, then it wasn't even surprising that Brett Brown got fired, especially when Doc Rivers became available. Now let's proceed to their team stats. No, let's first go to their key additions. Okay, so for the key additions, they added Dwight Howard, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Tony Bradley, Terrence Ferguson, the former Oklahoma City Thunder, was also added. And then they got 3 rookies and Tyrese Maxey, Isaiah Joe, and Paul Reed. And they added Doc Rivers as a coach, and of course Daryl Morey as their new executive. Next. These are now their key returning players. They still have Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Perkman, Korkmaz, Shake Milton, and their rookie last year, Matisse Thybulle. Now let's go to their team stats, courtesy of basketballreference.com. Again, for all the updated stats, basketballreference.com is the way to go. Okay, so for their team stats, again, just like what we have mentioned, so just to emphasize, they were only 20th in points. They were 8th in assists, 10th in rebounds. Now, when it comes to the shooting, they were 10th in field goal percentage, 9th in 3-point percentage, and only 22nd in free throw percentage. So you might be wondering, they're 9th in 3-point percentage and 10th in field goal percentage, and yet they weren't scoring a lot. If we're gonna think about it, their real calling card with under Brett Brown was their defense. They were sixth in points allowed. When it comes to 3-point made and 3-point attempted by their opponents, they were first. What else? What were the key defensive stats? Rebounding. Teams always had a hard time rebounding against them. And they were also very good when it comes to blocks. Okay, and also steals. So those are some of the things that we have to remember when it comes to this team. And then in terms of their offensive rating, they weren't bad. 13th in offense, 13th in the league in offensive rating, and 8th in the league in defensive rating. I just don't know about the pace, especially if you have a guy like Simmons who really thrives. But of course, you also have Embiid, so you have to mix it up a little bit. They were only 19th when it comes to pace. A lot of people wanted to watch the Sixers. They were third in league attendance. Let's now go to their player stats. Okay, so as for their player stats, of course, we have to focus on the guys that they still have. They still have Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. So let's start with Big Ben. Ben, look at the numbers: 16 points per game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 0.6 blocks, and yet people are still saying it's not enough. Why? Because he's only shooting 28.6% from 3-point distance, and he doesn't really take these threes at all. Only 0.1 threes per game for Ben Simmons. So even though he was shooting 58% from the field, it was just easy to let him, to leave him out there, because definitely he's not going to be taking those shots. Tobias Harris, no one was talking about him, but he actually had a very good year. 19.6 points per game, 7 boards, 3 assists, 37% from 3, 47% from the field, but never got talked about, right? It was like Tobias Harris was non-existent, except for those who are really following the Sixers. Big man Joel Embiid played only 51 games. That's always been the problem. He's a little bit injury prone, but no one questions his talent. 23 points per game, 11.6 boards, 1.3 blocks, 3 assists. And, for a big man, 33% is not bad at all. Now, who are the possible key contributors for them? Korkmaz, who averaged 10 points per ball game. They were really hoping he could replace JJ Redick when Redick went to the Pelicans. Kind of did that, shot 41.6 from deep. They're also hoping Shake Milton and Matisse Thybulle can continue developing. Okay, so let's now go to my thoughts and predictions about regarding the Sixers for this upcoming season. So it's hard to predict right now what's going to happen with the Sixers, because it's really obvious. It's obvious that Daryl Morey wants to get James Harden. Yes, in spite of the fact that James Harden has a dad bod right now. Just like what I said, man, if the category for being an NBA superstar is just having a dad bod, then I will be a superstar already. But anyway, regarding the Sixers, hard to tell right now what my thoughts are for them, because I don't know what their team would be like once, the season starts. We don't know if the Ben Simmons deal will happen. Of course, they are very quiet about it. They're trying to make sure that it's not going to leak, but you know how the NBA works, right? It's going to be surprised that all of a sudden, we wake up one day and then that's it. The trade has been completed already. So, for me to be able to do this, let's start first. Let's say they don't trade Ben Simmons. They have Doc Rivers. He's very good at, if there's one thing that Doc Rivers is good at, is he's very good at managing egos. The problem with Doc Rivers is that he also has a system that he kind of never tweaks. That's I think that's where Paul George was coming from. He felt like, yeah, I was being used like Ray Allen or JJ Redick, and it was hard for him because that's not really his game. But of course, I was kind of hard in commending that maybe Paul George just didn't make shots, and that was the difference. But that's not the point. The point is, so what are you gonna do with Ben Simmons? Is he gonna be like a Rajon Rondo for you, or are you gonna try to make him a Chris Paul? I don't know, because he's gonna be their point guard. He's gonna be running the show. So unless you turn him into a Rondo like, but in today's game, that's just not possible, right? And then what do you do with Embiid? Is he gonna be like your what, Kevin Garnett? Or is he gonna be like you're simply your DeAndre Jordan? So I don't know. Maybe the reason why there are so many of these trade rumors going on is because they're realizing that there might be a problem in terms of the fit, right? And then another one, if they do get James Harden, yes, he will be that offensive threat for sure. But then what will happen with Embiid? Okay, will that be like pick and roll? Well, Embiid has always been effective and he has the ball, right? And you basically dump it to him rather than just going pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll every time. And Harden, ever since he became the superstar that he is now, he just isn't that same player anymore who's willing to give the basketball up. I don't even know if that's gonna make sense. But of course, for analysts, they say, yeah, of course that will work. You have James Harden and blah, former MVP, and it's gonna go, wow, you're gonna go with it with Joel Embiid, and you still have Tobias Harris. Yeah, on paper it looks good, but you do not know. Embiid wants the ball, Harden wants the ball. I don't know how that's gonna work. And then problem naman when you have Simmons, you don't really he can't shoot. He's not willing to shoot, and I don't know if he is ever gonna be willing to shoot. So that's also a problem. So it's like they're not really either way. Things are gonna be challenging for Doc Rivers and the Sixers, and thus, my predictions for them is that I'm not really high on them. I'm not so high on them because I don't think it's hard to win in a league where you're focusing so much on trying to be, rather than winning, you're focusing on just you're trying to mesh or something like that. When other teams are aiming for a championship, you're aiming to just mesh, and that doesn't really win you anything. You might make it to the playoffs, but then that's it. Worst case scenario for me is they end up being, once again, a 6th, 7th, or 8th seed. I do think they are obviously going to be a playoff seed as long as whether Embiid or Simmons are healthy, or Harden and Simmons, they have star players, they have star power there. But then best case scenario for me, if they do put it all together, right? Especially because they're playing in the East anyways. Of course, you're looking at probably a possible top 4 team in the East, right? Can they go all the way? It depends on how Harden and Embiid will mesh if ever they do become teammates. And then for Ben, it will all depend on how Doc Rivers will be utilizing Ben, because you have to bring out the best in Ben Simmons as well. Can't just be Joel Embiid all the time, especially because he is kind of injury prone as well. So those are my thoughts and predictions for the Sixers. It's a go. Yes, sir. It's time to go now to the top plays of the night. Yes, sir. So let's now proceed to the top plays of the night. Let's start at number 5. Who is at number 5? Kevin Durant. Yo, people are saying he's rusty. No, he's back. Kevin Durant with a monster finish. Next at number 4. Let's go to number 4. There It's number 4. Oh, there it is. Oh, Paul Millsap. Oh my goodness. Don't do him like that, Paul. The veteran. Oh my goodness. What a move by Paul Millsap. Let's now go to number 3. At number 3, Emmanuel kick quickly. The kid from Kentucky, first round pick, ballin'. Look at this, showing us that he's not only quick, but he's also equally good when it comes to getting buckets. Look at this. I know it's only the preseason, but if Quickly can do this, New York got someone who can really ball for them. And finally, a guard who can put up buckets for the Knicks. Now let's go to number 2. At number 2, we have, look at this, Zion attacking, and Brook Lopez says, oh, no way, Zion, no way. My friend, Brook Lopez denying Zion Williamson. And then at number 1, it's all about, again, KD. Oh, KD is back. Look at these moves. These are classic KD, vintage Kevin Durant against the Boston Celtics. Look at this attack. Oh, and 1. Arguably, or easily one of the best scorers ever. Look at that. Kevin Durant, I think he's coming off an Achilles injury and he's balling like this. It's pretty scary. I hope KD stays healthy for the whole season. So that is it for the top plays of the night. And now it's time to go to our shout outs. Again, thank you. Special shout out to our friends on Instagram and on Facebook, especially on Facebook. What a pleasant surprise for, many people liking the Facebook page and then giving their thoughts. Many, many thanks to all of you. I'll just probably make a shout outs episode so that I can thank all of you. But, that's probably the best Christmas gift, right? One of the best Christmas gifts is, to see people supporting this passion project of mine. So thank you to everyone who's been supporting the podcast. Okay, so before we end the episode, again, for those who haven't done it yet, please subscribe and hit on the notification bell and click always so that you can follow all the episodes of the Dropping Dimes podcast. If you enjoy the video, click on the like button, comment your thoughts, and share the video as well. Okay, so with that, we'll see you on the next episode of the Dropping Dimes podcast. We'll see you tomorrow. Again, we'll be featuring another Eastern Conference team tomorrow, as promised. Okay, so this is the Dropping Dimes podcast. I am J.I. Dimes saying Big Ben just needs his opportunity. Keep safe, everyone.